My former company, Ownamerica, we started it. I'm 30 years, oh God, 30 years in the real estate business. And I always thought that the real estate industry was underplaying its hand. Right? My earliest business memories, my mom was a real estate agent. And my dad was a doctor, okay? And doctors were revered and respected, and real estate agents were made fun of. And I have early memories of being annoyed about that, like literally as a kid. And I worked with her because a little while after she became a real estate agent, she became a manager of the office she worked in. And a little while later, she bought the branch that she was running as a manager, and that was the beginning of Century 21 Rand. And I worked in her office as a kid. I did everything from taking pictures of houses, which back then was only the front. I would take the film to the pharmacy. Those of you who are over the age of 40 know what I'm talking about. Those of you who are under the age of 30 have no idea what film is, probably. But we used to have to bring this little black box to the pharmacy, wait a week, and then bring the pictures back, and then we would stick those pictures into a book. So anyway, but I answered the phones, I did all kinds of things, I put signs in front yards, and I remember this, it happened a lot, but I remember the one time in particular sticks with me, that there was a couple who had just bought the house, and the real estate agent, it wasn't my mom, it was one of her agents, was all excited and hugging them, and they looked absolutely terrified and miserable. And I remember looking at that saying, like, what's wrong with them? They just bought a house, and it began to set in that this is such an impactful thing that they were doing. Now, that's the home ownership side, not the investment side, but it's still houses. And it always struck me that this was important work that was being done. And the public, you know, the way they were depicted in movies and TV shows was always being goofed on. But yet the people in that office really were relying upon their real estate agent. When the relationship works, there's a lot of stress being absorbed by that real estate agent. And that couple who just got the keys, they were so nervous about the obligation they had taken on. And then I observed it many times after that. People that were selling their house that were presumably happy, right? They walked out of a closing, they got a check, but they also looked sad. Like, what's going on? What's with this asset class? I didn't use that terminology back then. It's just a really heavy thing. Dealing with houses. And over the years, I began to really get my brain around this idea that this is a really serious thing. And then I began to see that the industry, as I understood the financial impact of it, I was always mystified at how the industry didn't play its hand as well as it could have. Meaning, I knew that like most of the people that bought houses, as they let decades pass, that house was going to become a really, really important asset to them. This is now into my high school and college years. The industry was still talking about the view and the style. And look at this beautiful, you know, walkout basement. They were never talking about the financial impact. They never taught the financial impact. And then, you know, the industry never, to this day, even tried to play its hand with respect to the investment quality of single-family homes. And so Ownamerica was formed 9.5 years ago because we believed that on the other side of the housing crisis, there would be an investment boom. And of course there has been, but back then that wasn't the most popular point of view. But we just believed that the housing market was going to come back roaring, and all this talk of a housing meltdown really got me upset. I actually wrote a book called Crash Boom back in 2010 during the crash to try to remind everybody what they know in their heart is coming after the crash. And we formed Ownamerica because we knew there was no national real estate company, no national real estate capacity to service investors. And if a boom was coming, here was the opportunity. So what Ownamerica did was we developed this certification program, Generation 1, this is Generation 5, and we trained 4,000 real estate agents on how to be investment specialists. And then Wall Street showed up, and they started buying houses all over the country. And we landed a few of those accounts. In fact, the two big private equity funds that wound up going public, Silver Bay Realty Trust and American Residential Properties, those were our two main clients. And so our national agent network and the technology that we built was kind of like a vacuum cleaner to go pull properties out of the MLSs all across the country, source, package, acquire, and then onboard. And we sold 5,000 houses over a 20-month period to those REITs. And then along that period of time, we discovered that there already were millions, at that time 15 million, single family rentals already in America. And we said, hey, they don't belong anywhere. These are rental homes, the kind that you all manage and lease up, that are off the grid. They don't fit in the MLS, they don't fit on Zillow, they don't fit anywhere, and yet there's millions of these things. And if you're going to buy an investment property, why not just buy an investment property rather than buying a vacant property and renting it out? If you're going to sell your rental property, why not sell it as an investment property? So that was the thesis of Ownamerica's marketplace online, which we developed back in 2016. And here we are. We have been, since that time, servicing large professional and institutional investors, helping them buy and sell portfolios of rental homes, and kind of mapping out, indexing, and blueprinting this asset class, which is very different than vacant homes. And then this year, we realized that we were vulnerable, that we were a national online portal that didn't have the ability to have any kind of boots on the ground. We didn't have the hand-to-hand combat. This is a physical asset and a financial instrument. And if you're only treating it as a financial instrument, you're vulnerable. And if you're only treating it as a physical asset, like Renters Warehouse might have been, you're also vulnerable. We bring it together, and so here we are. Renters Warehouse acquires Ownamerica. It's kind of like Ownamerica was large institutional professional investors. Renters Warehouse had some of those clients, but you were mainly small investors. You're doing property management and leasing, we're doing investment sales, and we're coming together in the middle. And that's where this all comes in, all right? We're building the first national sales organization for single family home investment. What we're really building is the first national brand for the investment in the housing market. So our new tagline that we use, you'll see it in all the press releases and everything, is that Renters Warehouse is the leading real estate investment services company in America. Our goal is to really nail that home, and my vision for, it might be 10 years from now, it might be less, but we're going to be a household name. You know, you ask anybody on the street to name a few real estate companies, they'll toss Coldwell Banker, Century 21, Better Homes and Gardens, Remax, Keller Williams. They'll throw some names out. You ask them to name a real estate investment company, they'll go silent. 5 years, 10 years from now, they'll say Renters Warehouse. So we're going to own this space. I think we're going to dominate this space. Together, we're already number one. And I don't see anybody catching up to us. So the enthusiasm that I've been getting from people in Renters Warehouse has been overwhelming, and I really appreciate it. And so let's go.